Hello my friends and welcome back. Thank you very much for being with me again today. We heard one side of the story about this merchant of death, Viktor Baut. We didn't hear the other side. And I really care about hearing the other side of the story because that's how you get closer to the truth. You get an understanding of the situation, and the accused should have a say, correct? So if someone accuses you of doing something, you expect the police and then the prosecutors and whoever to ask you, okay, what do you have to say about the accusations? And you defend yourself, obviously, or you keep quiet and you have a lawyer or attorney, right, to take care of the whole thing. So we heard about this Viktor Baut, that he was a merchant of weapons, which I don't have any doubts that he is and was. At that point, he claimed, that's the only information I got about this guy before, this article that I have here. He said, I was retired at that time. So he was not in business. And supposedly, it seems like the Americans offered him to do something undercover, and he said yes, and that's how he was jumped. So let's see what he has to say in his first interview after he was released for the basketball player, an exchange of the basketball player. You know, the country's priorities tell you about its culture and its values. The new ones, I must add. Do I like them? No, I don't. So this article comes from Sputnik. Oh my God, it's a Russian. Yeah, well, I'm just going to quote for you, okay, what the guy says. Obviously, I'm going to read some interpretations of that, but you are mature enough to say, okay, this is BS, this is not BS. All right, so let's go. This article is from today, December 10th, 2022. And I'm quoting, even judge said I did nothing illegal. Bout gives first big interview after release from US prison. Well, I think the same thing Greener said. I didn't do anything wrong, nothing illegal. So let's see. RT, Russia Today's Maria Butina, who was herself sentenced to jail by US authorities on extremely questionable charges, interviewed Viktor Baut about his ordeal, which became with his arrest in Thailand back in 2008. So Viktor Baut has given his first major interview to Russia Today as he returned to Russia after spending almost 15 years in prison. The Russian businessman, did you hear that? Okay. That's what I'm talking about. You guys you understand when it's proper business. Okay, well, that's a business. I mean, and he's a man. I think he fits the description. The Russian businessman who was accused of smuggling weapons and detained in Thailand at the behest of the US has consistently denied the charges against him, noting that Washington even claimed he had supplied the Taliban with weapons and tanks. And I'm quoting, they accused me of transporting 200 T-90 tanks to the Taliban. How is that even possible, to transport 200 tanks? This is 200 flights to Afghanistan. Over what region? Where is the proof? End quote. He told Russia Today. Maria Butina adding that there were no ties between him and the Afghan movement since the Taliban had placed a bounty on his head. The Russian then lambasted that investigators for their blatant incompetence. I have no doubt about that one. I can tell you that. Bout said that the agents who testified against him referenced the movie Lord of War, as Bout allegedly served as an inspiration for the main character, arms dealer Yuri Orlov, and noted that in his prison papers, instead of his parents' names, the authorities used names from the Nicolas Cage's movie. I do not dispute that, and I believe that entirely. And why? When I went to college here in this great country, United States of America, the professors over there, the psychology professor, I know exactly, and the sociology professor used movies to make us discuss the psychological, how should I put it, techniques used by this or that or that. And there were some, also in the history classes that history precisely, class that I took regarding the Second World War, they were focused on other things. And I point out to the professors each and every time, you use the movies, the scripts written by some human being as evidence, as reality. I said, you know that script writer could have written, if he wanted, a pig was flying like Superman. He could, and you ask me to assess and to discuss the flight of the pig? That's exactly how I worded it to these idiots. And they were like, so never in, these guys had PhDs. So that's why for me, PhD, that was a revealing experience for me, enlightening. And I said, okay, open your mouth and I know your level. I don't care what paper you got and you achieved. Okay, that's me. That's how I roll, let's put it this way. So the same here. I'm not surprised that these guys might have done that. That's the level. Do you think that, oh, the FBI, the CIA agents are some superstars? Again, the movies make you believe that. In reality, go and meet a few and talk to them, and you're going to find out. Anyway, so, and he added that even the judge called his activities ordinary for a businessman. And I'm quoting, a normal person might think, why all this circus? Even at the trial, the judge said he is a normal businessman, and many businessmen do the same thing here in the US. He did nothing illegal. Well, according to Bout, as part of plea deal, he was offered 30 years in prison instead of a life sentence, but he rejected it. Bout pointed out that during his trial in 2011, he had to spend time in New York's Metropolitan Correction Center, calling it a Nazi-inspired institution with poisonous white light, which is supposed to break the will of the inmates and make them go insane. And I'm quoting, when they see that, you're not going mad. Sometimes they don't bring you a meal. They don't turn off the light, he said. The businessman, I'm going to use it as they wanted, revealed that he had no force, that he had to force himself to eat the food, adding that it used to be better during his initial 2 years in a Thai prison. However, the main issue for him was the lack of communication with his family. The biggest, now they make him human, which he is human, but you know, just point out certain things that these guys are trying here. The biggest challenge was not being able to communicate with my loved ones. So he has empathy and love and all that, but we know that criminals don't have that. Like many others in our history, they are pure evil. They are not able to love dogs or love anybody else or have a mistress or no, because they're pure evil. Anyway, and if they did that, they did it for a dark reason that we are not able to understand, but a psychiatrist will explain it for us. And we're like, say what? Anyway, he said, adding that he was allowed to make just one phone call per month, but he had to use the opportunity to call his lawyers. The fact that I could not talk to my friends and my family, this was the biggest challenge. According to him, what is happening in the West now with LGBT propaganda and drug proliferation is a civilization suicide that threatens to destroy the planet. The businessman stated he is enjoying his long-awaited freedom and can now spend time with his friends and family as well as restore his health. He also wished good luck to WNBA player Brittany Griner, who was released by Russia in a prisoner exchange deal. Bout now was arrested in 2008 in Thailand after being accused of smuggling weapons to militant groups around the world by the United States. In 2010, he was extradited to the United States despite protests from the Russian side, which called the move a kidnapping. Despite facing multiple charges, including weapons trafficking and conspiring to kill Americans, Bout repeatedly denied the allegations and rejected the plea deal. He was sentenced to 25 years imprisonment in 2012 by a Manhattan federal court. However, earlier this week, he finally came home, tra-la-la, lululu, lilila. All right, and he says here, he was Bout, an American basketball player, Brittany Griner, who was sentenced to 9 years in prison for trying to smuggle drugs into Russia in her luggage, arrived in Abu Dhabi, the UAE, on December 8th, where the exchange occurred. Well, I think I read something like he was in retirement, Bout, and the Americans approached him, I think, undercover and baited him, offered him okay, can you do this for I don't know who the hell they pretended to be, and this is the amount, and supposedly he said yes or something, and that's how they got him. But he says here that no, actually the accusations were for smuggling and all that, not the intent. The intent to kill Americans, because probably they connected that, oh, you provide those guys with weapons, that means we're gonna attach that to you, that those weapons were used to kill Americans. Like, for instance, Russia now, today, could say, well, Americans, you are guilty of killing Russian personnel because you provide Ukrainians with weapons that kill Russians. So under the same logic, then the United States is guilty of whatever this guy is, right? Trying to conspiring to kill Russians. If you get the same way, because if that's the conspiracy, but I don't know the details. I don't want to go deeper into that. Because you hear one side and then you get the other side and you say, okay, so this guy say you're 100% guilty, the other guy says I'm 0% guilty. Anyway, I know the truth is somewhere in the middle, and I have, it could be either way. I don't think he's 100% clean, but I have no evidence to support that. On the other hand, I don't think the other guys are 100% accurate in their pursuit of justice. Anyway, thank you very much for being with me again today. Stay strong, stay smart, look for the truth, and be just.